Hi guys, this is Klazart bringing another audio commentary, and this time I'm commentating on set 3, that is game 3. I'm not doing the entire set of this series between SK Telecom Team 1 and Korean Air Force, and this is going to be between Bisu, the Protoss ninja, and NCYellow, the bearer of the silver flag in the Korean pro scene. A lot of you guys probably haven't heard much of NCYellow, or especially those of you who started watching Korean commentaries recently, or Korean matches, the Korean pro scene recently, but he is one of the original legends of StarCraft. He is one of the players, he's probably the first really big Zerg player that dominated the scene, but unfortunately for him, his prominence, his peak, was in Boxer's era, and he lost 2 consecutive Star League finals, I believe, to Boxer, and was very, very disappointed, and his fans were very disappointed. But he was a great StarCraft player, really fun to watch, and built up a huge name for himself, and will forever be enshrined, his name will be, in StarCraft legend and lore. And he is obviously taking on Bisu, the player who has revolutionized Protoss gameplay, and really put Protoss back on the map at a time where Protoss fans were beginning to despair. This game is being played, was played in Heartbreak Ridge. It's already been commented on, I believe, by Cholera as well as Diggity, but I did get some requests from you guys saying that this was an enjoyable matchup, and so I decided to commentate it. It is being played on Heartbreak Ridge. We've already seen a great Protoss versus Zerg between Bisu and Jaedong on this map, where you guys are right, I did miss on that matchup that Jaedong had cancelled his Spire and rebuilt it, which is why his Scourges were so late, his Spire was up so late, and Bisu had free reign with his Corsairs, killing several overlords of Jaedong's, and from that point on, Jaedong really never recovered, even though he fought quite hard. Normally, I wouldn't have picked this match to commentate on. I'm only commentating on because I've received requests from you guys, because I would expect Bisu to trounce Yellow quite comfortably. I would expect this to be a walkover for Bisu. I'd expect him to just stroll through Yellow and not really break a sweat, considering the fact that Bisu is pretty near the top of his form, obviously not in the kind of dominance that he showed a couple of seasons ago, but he's playing good StarCraft, and he has had a couple of high-profile defeats recently, most notably against the Red Sniper Hwashin. If you haven't seen that game yet, an amazing, incredible game of StarCraft, and then of course against Stork also in the Pro League, although he did bounce back in that same matchup to take the ace match for his team. I believe that was versus Jangbi. I don't know why Samsung sent Jangbi out to face Bisu when Stork had already defeated him, and Stork is such a strong player. But Bisu has had a couple of high-profile losses. It shows that he is vulnerable, he is beatable, and I'm presuming that you guys have asked me to commentate this game. It means that Yellow at least will put up a challenge and not get completely overrun. Bisu going for his fast expand, and again sending that early probot to scout. He seems to me that he does send that early probot more often versus Zerg players than versus Terran, because he really wants to know what they're up to and what they're doing. Yellow now only starting up his expansion. That's going down. I think he actually went for a 9 pool. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he went for a 9 pool, but only now starting up. So he's got his first 6 Zerglings out. It'll be interesting if he can do any harass at all at Bisu's natural expo. I don't think he's really going to be able to do much. He's now sending those Zerglings out from different directions, and it'll be interesting to see how Yellow plays this. The problem for Yellow is that he's great tactically, and he's a good player, and Yellow looks like he's just positioning his Zerglings around the map for scouting position, so he's not going to try and harass at all, realizing that he's not really going to be able to affect any significant damage at Bisu. But I think he's going to try and just sneak a couple of Zerglings in and see if he can get a scout. Bisu with 2 photon cannons up, gateway up, forge up as well. Yellow now starting up his lair. So neither player really putting too much pressure on each other early on. I think Bisu feels content that if he plays a standard game, he should probably be able to beat Yellow toe for toe. He feels that Yellow probably shouldn't be able to cope with his level of macro and mechanics, and that really is the difference. And that is why players like even Boxer struggle a little bit. And Yellow now with just those 5 or 6 Zerglings grouped outside Bisu's natural expo, just trying to get a little bit of a harass in. Bisu meanwhile sending another probe out to scout, and Yellow unfortunately is not going to be able to intercept this, but I guess he doesn't mind too much. But it'll be interesting to see. Yellow is one of those old school players, so you could potentially see him playing with a 2 hatchery build, which would be interesting because he hasn't put his 3rd hatchery down yet. Bisu already with his expansion up and running, so Yellow will need to inflict some damage on Bisu early on to really have a chance in this game. He will have to put some pressure, and Yellow starting up the Hireless Den lair, so we might be seeing some sort of a lurker rush by Yellow here. He started up his Hireless Den, but the problem is he needs to deny Bisu that scout. Now, Bisu, having scouted with a probe, is seeing that Yellow hasn't. Normally when the Protoss takes their natural expo, the Zerg player will take, so in this case Bisu, sorry, just for the positions, and now the probe coming in from Bisu. This is critical here. Yellow needs to prevent this from getting in his base somehow. He needs to block that probe from getting in his main. I don't think he's going to be able to do that, because once Bisu sees what Yellow is doing, and Bisu is going to see this, Bisu's got his probe in Yellow's base, Bisu's seen the hardest and he's seen the lair, he's going to know this is coming. This is a critical mistake by Yellow. He's made a huge mistake, huge error here. He really needed to deny that probe scout for this strategy to be effective at all, and all really Bisu needs to do is position a couple of photon cannons cleverly, and he's going to have such a strong advantage that I don't see Yellow coming back in this game now. I think that might be the mistake that costs Yellow the game. Bisu now has got that Stargate up, unless Yellow is not going for a lurker rush, which I presume him to be going with the timing of his build. But when you're going for a build like that against a player like Bisu, you really need to deny him that information. And you can see Bisu starting up at the 9 o'clock position, Yellow at the 3 o'clock position in white, Bisu in blue, and Bisu obviously setting his probe out to scout, setting another probe out to scout towards the 1 o'clock expansion, expecting that now that he had fast expanded, Yellow would put his third hatchery down. His second expansion, which is what you would expect Zerg players to do to counteract the Protoss's base and Protoss's economy. But Yellow obviously didn't go for that. It looks like Yellow's going to go for a lurker drop against Bisu. But Bisu, having seen that the 1 o'clock base was unoccupied, then sent his probe in to scout Yellow's main. Yellow didn't deny that scout, and therefore Bisu saw the lair, saw the Hydralisk dead, and he knows that there's going to be Hydralisks coming in. He knows that Yellow's going to try lurkers coming in, that Yellow's going to be relying on that. But Yellow, and this is the problem, Yellow is just not as sharp as he used to be. Bisu's main, however, does not yet have a photon cannon in it. His natural is very well protected because he probably feels that Yellow can't sneak in. He's not anticipating the drop at all. Yellow with the slow, this is real old school play. He's got a Corsair hovering as well. Will the Corsair intercept the Overlords? The Corsair is going to see the Overlords, but I think the Corsair alone on its own is not going to have time to do enough damage. So Yellow's going to get his lurkers in play here at Bisu's main. Bisu, I'm sure by now, and Yellow is dropping Hydralisks as well as Zerglings. He's dropping Hydralisks, Zerglings, and he's now morphing lurkers inside Bisu's main. He sent Zerglings and try to take those photon guys. He's got almost a full group of Zerglings there. Bisu's bringing up the probes. One of the photon cannons gets cancelled. He's got 3 zealots, and both the photon cannons are cancelled critically. Yellow cancels both the photon cannons, only loses a couple of Zerglings in the process, pulls the Zerglings out. Bisu's forced to bring his probes out. He put a second cannon down as well, and Bisu just needs to hold the line. He's going to produce zealots. He's got 4 zealots up there now, and he's just holding a defense around that photon cannon. Yellow forced to sacrifice all of his Zerglings. He's not able to take the photon cannon down. The photon cannon probably will get up in time, and Bisu's just going to try and intercept those lurkers from getting close within range of those photon cannons. Yellow's job is to try and get those lurkers implanted, and Bisu doing a great job of forcing Yellow. Great strike by the lurkers, kills a bunch of